Hello, Don Bosco.
Hi, how are you doing?
I looked at the email inboxes and realized I have to do the 2-minute video for the Intersect proposal. So I'm like, totally forgot that. I've been generating slides with AI, trying to make something useful out of it.
True. Yeah, it's been a minute. I think the last time I joined this one was it was a while back. I recall at that time you were at least 4 or 5 people who had joined for that meeting. And then I was like, oh, I've been seeing these around, but I've not been getting the exact timing and schedule in my calendar. There's always been a conflict, or maybe it's too late for me to join. And then so I decided to just see how things are going. But then I saw this one was at 1 p.m. and I was like, oh, nice. I think I can join this one and see what people have been up to and how the updates are going. I'm looking forward
I wonder, in team we had like a back and forth, like, do we want people to choose the time they want to have a workshop? Because the coordination manager, where I put the times there, people could actually put their preferred time when they want to meet. But we never did the communication because we thought if we ask people to prepare a time, maybe it's too much asking and just maybe just say.
Yeah, there's that, but then maybe you can't, there's no one rule fits all, considering people may be coming from different time zones and all of them want to cater to their own timelines and availability too. So that's one thing, but at least it gives you an idea of when is the most suitable that you can find the most people. And then for those who can't join, maybe they can catch up on the next session, such as myself here.
Little money, Monde Junior.
Thank you, Tevo. It's good to be here again.
Okay. Well, I wonder, we have a few minutes more to wait because it's not on time. Just kind of opening up. Would everybody speak on like what state you are in, like the Cardano governance in general? Like try to come up with like a 2-minute intro of what are you involved in, and how do you think this CIP 1694 is working? Or, whatever the chip name was, basically the DRep and SPO system. And do you find it like a good governance, or what you feel like lacking? So going around the room, starting with Don Bosco with you, what would you say about that? How do you feel like how engaged you are with Cardano governance and how you understand it in like 2 minutes?
Speaking from an ADA holder, or which perspective, or just free?
Yeah, all the perspectives. If you have, that's a good idea. Maybe describe the roles you think you have. Like one other holder is one, maybe DRep, SPO, maybe like a proposal assessor from old days, like any kind of role you see yourself as part of Cardano governance, if at all. Maybe you don't feel like it at all, and then that's also so that we kind of get the feeling of what people we have in the room.
Oh, okay. I will just say for I personally like having the chance to effect decisions in the Cardano ecosystem is one upward thing that you cannot underestimate, in consideration that other platforms don't offer such an interaction with their user base. So you feel part of the ecosystem and you can actually talk about how the experience is for you. Personally, like what you're doing right now, and then you feel like you also get different perspective from how people feel like the ecosystem should respond to different situations and the best case for decision making and stuff. And this just pertains to things such as protocol changes, maybe treasury withdrawals, and maybe which projects get to be funded and stuff. So I will say from a governance perspective, and as someone who also that the inclusion and the community is one thing I really cherish, and you actually feel you're part of something huger than yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. This is actually my first time of taking part in this webinar or meeting. Really, what captivates me is the openness of governance at Cardano to incorporate all people who feel they can do something for the ecosystem. Yeah, so that accommodation really intrigues me, and it makes me do more. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's try one more. Frederick, do you want to also introduce yourself and how engaged you are with Cardano governance and what roles you feel like you embody?
Yeah, so apparently I'm the hub lead for the MIBT Cardano Hub, and we are trying to develop the community, especially in Southern Africa. Okay, so we've not been very much involved. So I remember my last interaction with Nick Cook when we met in Nairobi during the Cardano Africa Tech Summit. The encouragement was, you guys, you need to, because we're focused on building innovations. Okay, yeah, so we've been working on a number of Cardano innovations, and one of them actually came out as one of the top 5 innovations in Nairobi, Kenya. So now Nick Cook was like, you guys need to come into governance so that we can develop the community and the ecosystem, especially in Southern Africa. So I love the concept of having this inclusive kind of governance arrangement, and I'll be delighted to see if we can get more into regional representation as we develop the ecosystem and stuff like that. But otherwise, I love the inclusivity, the community-centered kind of arrangement. It's very different with the other ecosystems I've worked with before, like ICP, Edera, and all these. Yeah. So I love what is happening within the Cardano ecosystem. Yeah, trying to take governance as much as possible to the lowest communities, regardless of even language barriers and stuff like that. So it's a delight to be part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you. For all the new people joining, Pedro, Hicks, Coffee, Simon, Henrik, we had a bit of introduction of ourselves while we were waiting for more audience. But now I would like to jump into real stuff. I'm gonna share also the screen, the applications, and the stuff we're gonna focus on today. But many of you already had also been in the previous workshops, and people know about you. At the first, here is the workshop page. Here we have all the list of the previous stuff. You can download transcripts. You can ask AI assistant what happened in what meeting, anything you fancy. I know we had a final workshop, but this is now the final workshop in the sense of the prioritization. And when you click the prioritization page and this URL, it should automatically filter you beyond MVG recommendations. So last 3 weeks, we were doing, each individual kind of was submitting the recommendations, like what they see, and looked at the charts and how can we improve the governance. And now the team put together top 9 of all of the aggregated versions and tried to give them general, or not general, but yeah, what was most spoken was aggregated together, or what seemed to be similar. And now we're trying to again go around of prioritization of which of these we should focus most and have the most covered discussions about. In that prioritization page, when you join there, you will have this Reddit up-down voting. So this will basically prioritize what is our today's workshop agenda. And you will see that there are 2 topics that we already discussed with these like 2 human. So even if they are like top ranking ones, we may skip them for now, so that we cover as much as ground as we can. If you click on the recommendation, you will be able to read on the what's on the recommendation here, scroll through the evidence attached. And yeah, right now we haven't done assessments for this. And if you feel like, okay, we should talk about voting tools for SPOs, and it's something that interests you to dive deeper, you can upload it. Or there is an alternative way. If you feel like you don't want this discussion happening, like, you can also download it. Because I feel like voting tools for SPOs has been discussed quite a lot of time and in the previous discussions. However, this doesn't mean it's like less impactful. So if you feel like we do need these tools, but you don't want to discuss it, then later we're going to do assessments. And all of that can be also done asynchronously. So we don't have to come for workshops. But the workshop is a great way to collectively do that and get the grasp of what are we working with. So I give a bit like 5 minutes for everybody to open the app on their own pace and skim through the titles you feel like most compelling for you. Click on the details, what this is more about, and then either upload, download based on, do you want to have a bigger discussion today? And then, as usually, what we have in the previous workshops, people will share opinions, give clarity, help to make decisions, and I will take as much comments as possible, but you can also individually write down your statements and go around already, download these, just because we haven't had a discussion on them. If any questions or unclarity, now is the opportunity to ask. What do we do? And that we're gonna talk about governance, takeover, incident readiness. As for the first topic, let me click back and forth. Sometimes it doesn't show me, then show more. The emergency response team, security committee within Intersect documents, the scenario of malicious governance attack and prepares any monitoring and communication channels required to swiftly respond if incident occurs. Monitoring should be driven by defined scenarios, but may include technical and TNCs. I don't know what is that, and large CS6 other custodial apps in case they change their stance on using voting rights of custodian assets. A rate of change of the top 35 DReps coordinated power increases among many small DReps within seconds of each other. Nakamoto coefficient and large vote volume rate is voting in a voting window addresses ecosystem response readiness to mitigate the impact of governance incident. So this is more at looking at who is voting and making sure that somebody is not trying to co-opt the governance. Notes the slow but the real drift in voting power concentration, framed as a low-cost, high-impact safeguard, and swift reaction to governance takeover or stall, notifying CC members, for example, that could reverse or prevent an attack. Want to kind of share their opinion on this kind of recommendation? Do you feel like there should be a body that has like a veto power or some kind of on-chain ability to stop the show? In some sense, we right now have the no motion that kind of turns off all the social governance, but it's slightly different. This is more giving power to those who we elect. Then you can open it.
Yeah, I hope my internet works fine for you guys. So the idea behind here is that we have, let's say, some sort of disaster recovery, similar to what we have for stake pool operators. We do have CIP 135, which handles like 3 different scenarios for SPOs in regards to network security. And as you guys know, that our FPOs that was activated in November 2025, when we had the pig chain fork on Cardano due to bad keyboard serializing. Even though it's like 2 different type of domain, I think it is important that we have a similar response, or if we are able to piggyback on that framework as it put forward in CIP 135. Then comes the questions. We have like for SPOs and network security, we have certain metrics. Like if this happens, we are going to gather a war room. If this happens, we need to do this. And currently this is run by Mike Hornan. He sits as operations security, network operator security at Intersect, and currently it is Intersect that is managing and, let's say, blowing the whistle if something happened. And I think it is important to have a similar mechanism in regards to governance. So what kind of scenarios have we been looking into? Well, what if, I'm just saying what if, I was going to use the infamous Binance scenario, which has currently, I think they're running something similar to 13 stake pool, and Coinbase. They collude and they decide to create their own DRep, and they will like basically reach an enormous amount of voting power, which will, in regards to our measurement, kick out on both the Nakamoto coefficient and the decentralization of voting power. So that is the idea behind that. And I want you guys to put in the comments there what you guys think, and make an upvote if you guys think that is important, or downvote it if it's you feel that is irrelevant. Yeah, Lucas, welcome.
Hey everyone, great to be here. Thanks for putting this together. I'm just focusing on this topic. The two first things that come to mind to react of this kind of governance takeover would be the CC, so making things not unconstitutional, and the vote of no confidence. So, but I think that the problem there is that both these mechanisms are also dependent on staking voting. Is that the issue, or? So did that mean that those mechanisms were not really ever safeguarded, or?
Yeah, we had, like, let's say, governance security issue in December, November as well, before the pig fork. We had Atlantic Council withdrawing from the CC, basically meaning that the ledger fall below CC min size, forcing for election. And what Intersect did there, they didn't have to, but they did it. They, on behalf of the community, let's say, kick off a tiny emergency. It wasn't a big emergency, but like a tiny emergency, to have like a snap election. That is kind of a that is kind of a scenario that perhaps should be included in such a CIP framework. The most scary part, in my mind, is voting concentration. We know that approximately 60%, about 67% of circulating supply is parked in centralized exchanges in their custodian. What happens? Like if a Binance, I'm not saying that they're going to, but what if they did to preserve their own interest? What kind of mechanism do we have to protect ourselves? And this is where this, let's say, state of emergency, and let's say if Nakamoto coefficient falls below XYZ, then this kicks in. If the voting threshold for update the constitution falls below, let's say, 15 DReps, just for example, this have to kick in. Those type of mechanism, Lucas.
Yeah, thanks for letting me hear. And I'm deeply concerned about the concentration right now. And every day I posted like how much top 10 concentration rate is about currently. And now we have 48% for top 10 DReps, and it is still, I'll say, steadily improving. And we can also, easily, I'll say, easily imagine like we're gonna have maybe one day the centralization up to 65%. So it's quite concerning right now. And I noted, I put the note here about the solution as I always say caps and resets as the one of the could be imagined solution. Because firstly, maybe we can cap DRep for like 1.5% per account. But we can imagine like Binance might have like tens of thousands of DRep account, and then consequently, just a cap mechanism doesn't actually prevent the concentration. So I also suggest annual delegation reset. That means like the DRep delegation will be reset in maybe once a year or twice a year, something. Then you have to redelegate to one DRep. So this means like it's firstly my 1.5% cap is you have to divide DRep account, but also if you have annual reset, then you have to correct the delegation from the ADA holders. So it means managing multiple DRep account is considerably difficult. So like for Binance or some sort of the entities, they need to have managing hundreds of accounts. That also costs a lot, but also they have to redelegate in certain time. Then it makes more difficult to managing multiple accounts. So just putting caps and the reset is seemingly like a easy solution, but it also makes DRep account management so difficult. So maybe possibly affect some certain part, maybe affect gonna have positive outcome maybe. So I actually write down my article why reset and cap could be one solution. So if you are interested, please look at it. So yeah, this is it. Thanks for that. The problem is DRep concentration is right now is I think also I'm DRep, so we have voting power as an asset. That means we have some sort of psychological incentives in DRep, like if we increase my voting power, that persuade me to be happier rather than getting lower, let's say, voting power. And also, if you have strong voting power, that means you will be treated by proposers, as in you're gonna have good access to like a new project or new proposals, and sometimes they might pay to you for yes vote, maybe. And we have no legitimate restrictions about the collusions, like if teams might pay, but if you use like dollars or something without ADA, then we cannot know about it. So if you have as much as strong voting power, that means you can collect kinds of incentives. Still, we don't have incentive mechanism in ADA, but we already have psychological incentives, also incentives from community participation. Or like a community, reputation. So we still have some sort of incentives as a voting power. So people actually try to maximize their voting power. That means you don't need cooperate to other DReps, because if you cooperate with other DReps, that means you may saying that the other DRep is also better option. That means you might reduce your chance to get more delegation. So psychologically, this delegation game actually prevent to DReps to cooperate. This is the feature of the our gaming gaming theory based DRep game. Delegation game. So we need to stop that kind of maximizing voting power, because we have voting power asset. I also got a lot of DMs from the projects, and if I actually rarely do that, but I vote yes, then the team DM me and thanks for something like it happens, and we gonna have billions of treasury funding. So that means you can, if you are a proposer, then you can pay for big DReps for voting yes. It's easily imagine that could be happen in the near future. I'm not saying I'm seeing that sort of things right now, but it could be. So capping the DRep voting power actually reduce the risk of and also destroy the mechanism of the DRep, voting power as an asset. If your voting power going just lasts around 1 year, then you don't really care about voting power. If you have capped 1.5%, it's going to be zero for next year. Then, and also the maximum cap would be 1.5%. Then we not really care about how much voting power I have, or the projects also don't care about individual DRep. And we gonna the DRep going to cooperate to say one certain proposal should be success, because one DRep cannot influence to more than 1.5%. And also the voting power will be liquidated for 1 year. So you have to cooperate with other DReps, otherwise you have only 1.5%, something like that. So, firstly, we have to destroy the mechanism, and also psychological trick, as if you have more voting power, then you're going to be more influential in governance. That means you're going to be it's going to be, kinds of like dark side of the governance, So Actually, yeah, that's all those things all are written in my article. So if you are really interested, so please. Sorry, interrupting the meeting. Hello.
No, I love it. Takes very, very wise words there from you guys in Cardano.
Thank you. Also, this is from my experience. So
Yeah, but you know, Cardano started out of Japan. You guys have the most experience from this. You know, and just also on a side note, out of Beyond Minimum Viable Governance, we also are going to recommend and put forward a way, a standard of actually how to measure. So I don't know if you have noticed, but if you see on CoinMarketCap, and you see on Binance and KuCoin, and even on our tap tools, you will see different numbers on circulating supply. I don't know if you noticed it, but and for how to calculate, let's say, voting power and how to put up, let's say, if we reach this threshold, we have to activate an emergency threshold. We also have like provided. It's going to be published on. Currently, it's in my private repo now, but it's going to be published on IOG's GitHub repo along with this one. So
yeah, this is
it's not
my.
most
You know,
active,
I'm
but
not. Yeah,
it's important to it is important to have a standard
yeah, of
of
course. Yeah.
how to measure before we say 10%, 5%, because otherwise.
Yeah, I know. I'm not actually engineering person, and I'm content creator. So I just put on my ideas and also critical analysis of the. But I need to more, you know, engineering side of overview and also research. But it's kind of kickstart of, you know, inspire people for to rethink about governance problem, and also what could be the solution or something. And because this is still not CIP, so yeah, I need to sort of research about it. Thank you.
Yes, cool. So, and everybody for listening in here, if you can put into the comment field if you have like the great solution for this, or suggestions, or something that we need to look into, please add it here in the comment field. I see while we have been talking, Tevo has been hammering on the keyboard and adding on. That's great work. Should we do like have we done an assessment on the score?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of bring it back. Like it's another interesting way to solve this takeover incident with like incentives, because the incentive discussion has been like a recurring theme, I guess, over almost all the recommendations we have discussed. And indeed also like inspired to thinking in terms of like, having a bit of like plutocracy to elevate people to DReps, and then, but having them not representing the amount of ADA they have, but just as an individual voice. So then we have this, so that we have plutocratic and the kind of, what is that, the social thing where people need humans to collaborate. But yes, let's go into the assessment page, and I wonder, Hicks, if you can kick it off with also, since you have a lot of knowledge. Here you can also do on your own like assessments. I clicked on the assessment button on the recommendation, and it will open up this list of like scaling options. Our collective effort is averaged here, but right now I'm doing it from my kind of response is based on all your opinion. The first is the Moscow tier, where we just ask, is this governance takeover incident a must, should, could, or won't? Like, do we need it right now? Like, it's blocking something important, or is it more like a should, that is a high value expected to happen, or nice to have, so we don't really need it? And that in terms of like, if the incentive is the solution, then this may be like a could, because then we don't have to like deliberately think of a team or some kind of rule book to manage the incidents. So Hicks, where do you stand in the Moscow tier?
By the way, just a minor tutorial. Remember to click on the save button if you
Yes.
before you close the yeah. So you have here, you can see you have the must code here. If you choose must, a lot of defaults will come up. And then if you click on like the skip skip part here, you will be able to drag from like unproven to high effort or low effort to high, and you can make your assessments of how this will impact and how important it is.
We get back to you, Hicks.
Should be must, because we don't have like a prevent mechanism at this moment. So yeah.
And would you say that the impact is also 10? Like, does it affect the entire system, ecosystem, or?
Should be, yes, yeah. I mean, this impact is significant. So I'm not really familiar with this platform, so I'm just taking time for looking at it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the takeover incident is actually, yeah, we have to do it right now because top 10 concentration is already 48%. So it's not really, I mean, as a corporation, I mean, listed corporation is, the concentration like 48% is significant risk. Like.
Okay, and another question for you is, can this be built with existing tools? Like, is that unproven, high effort to kind of create these kind of incident readiness teams? Or is it like a proven and we all kind of know how it's done? It's just selecting the people, or maybe that's a bit, visibility on that, selecting that team of people to take care of that is a hard one. So where do you feel in like 1 to 10 measurement, like how high effort or low effort this recommendation is to implement?
Yeah, CPS and coordinated solution. What does CPS stands for? Actually, I couldn't really understand what is it.
CPS is Cardano problem statements. I'm not sure where you're reading it.
And by the way, you guys don't have to be expert. You are allowed to guess as well. And I was also like, if someone is like have an opinion that, oh, this is not feasible to implement, I would like you to raise the hand and tell me also why. No, but okay, sorry, Hicks.
Okay, yeah. But yes, the DRep population, distributed DRep population would be here. It's really also important, and yeah. But for DRep compensation, actually, I had a negative view, and probably we can keep it later, because before concentration, before solving concentration problem, the DRep concentration might accelerate the DRep concentration, because if you get rewards or compensation as a DRep, then you can more actively participate in governance. That means if you don't have compensation, that sort of people, DRep, can't actively participate in the governance. So, there's some problems in compensation. We need to tackle on two kinds of compensation problem, like firstly financial and problem. If you pay every DReps, then you're gonna run out the treasury, and if you select DReps to get compensation, then you're gonna have accelerate the concentration, because if you have two types of DReps get
I'm sorry, but I
compensation,
think you are going in detail of the compensation proposal.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking at the governance takeover in like that specific recommendation right now. The compensation proposal is this. Okay, so you were reading this one. Yeah. Today's topic is the governance takeover incident one. But yeah, okay. Let's
and also, voting
information.
is now ranking lower, but I think it's more important. I mean, voting tools for SPOs as well. Also, DReps. We have GovTools and I mean, tempos and CF voting tools, but I think we need more like options.
But in just in regards to the DRep compensation, so it touches a little bit, I feel, in regards to governance takeover as well. So just imagine this scenario. I put forward a proposal to withdraw $60 million from the treasury, and because it only needs 20 DReps to actually get that passed. I decide to just pay 20 DReps $200,000 to vote in my favor. And this leaks out by accident. And a scenario like this is also important to be managed by governance. It's a scenario in governance takeover, I feel. Simon first, and then we will put it forward to Hicks later, if you raise your hand.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just mistakenly.
Right. So I think it's a fair point, but also on the other hand, there's a problem where if we don't incentivize them, we're asking them to do work that is like they're just like where the incentives don't align with what Cardano wants them to do, right? If maybe they want to use their voting power then to gain something, right? For another incentive that we didn't design for them. For example, voting for something that makes themselves money, right? So I think, and also, so when I talk to people, a lot of the time I feel like that they have already ideas on how this incentive could look like, but as Hicks pointed out, incentives can look very different. Like they can take all kinds of forms, and we can incentivize all kinds of behaviors. It doesn't have to be the top 20 DReps to, who have the maximum stake, and we can use all kinds of parameters as well.
Okay, so what I understand, this is a very high prioritized thing. It is must, and it has a large impact on the ecosystem and critical to implement. And it's feasible. Is there anything like, is there anybody, I would just try to step on the other side. This is like, well, Intersect shouldn't manage this. It should be someone else. Is there anyone thinking along those lines? Like, who should be responsible? Is it okay to leave this responsibility to Intersect? And is there, if Intersect said, okay, we're going to have this, it's going to cost $1 million. Do you think the DReps will vote in favor for it?
I think it's good for Intersect to like oversee it. Right, that's the word. It's good for Intersect to oversee it. I don't think they should do the work itself. I mean, that's maybe I'm a bit biased because I'm going to bring forward a proposal to do exactly that work. But it seems like Intersect has enough on its hand, and I'd be very happy for them to oversee the work, but I don't think they need to do it. Like there should be research involved, in my opinion.
Let's move to 3 more questions on the negative side. How much uncertainty is in the governance takeover incident readiness recommendation? How much is that uncertainty happening then in a technical risk side when you're trying to implement such bodies or yeah, assuming we have a perfect incentive mechanism.
So the thing here on top of the, this governance is not, let's say, technical at all. I think it's not something wrong with the ledger or some. I think this is like human factors that would lower the technical threshold, but we do have to decide how to measure it. I agree, like I see. And that is just some Python script and SQL queries and Cardano CLI.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking in terms of like technical on if the incentives is a solution for the readiness and what we discussed today on like all of these different incentive models, then it becomes quite unclear if there is a need of a ledger or some kind of different rules. Like how do we create that coalition of governance that we trust, and there is probably some kind of technical like clarity on or standardization required in order to make that work. But if you are going more to the like a lower part, I'm gonna then keep it in the middle of 3. 2 more questions: regulatory or a compliance?
I'm good with that.
No legal concerns or significant hurdles. I feel like this is the maximum on the legal stuff, because it requires like a heavy accountability and making very clear where the borders are. I think is like important here. And finally, maintaining. Yeah, I think it's also. I wonder. We never really hear about like security teams maintaining stuff, and in my experience of ETL administrator, it's usually the first 3 months setting it all up, and then it's kind of like forget until internet is gone or electricity is gone, and then I get a call and hey, why nothing works? Well, entire country is out of energy. What I'm supposed to do? But I'm not sure how it will work in governance.
Just to give people some insights. So both Cardano Foundation, Intersect, and IO, they have dedicated people looking at each block, and they have put some threshold for themselves for when to blow the whistle and the alarm. So in regards to maintainability, this is like a continuous process, but we don't need 10 devs looking at it. But you have to have someone that gets an email or SMS or a red screen when some certain threshold pop-ups, and then okay, now it's war room. What can we do?
Okay, I then moved the maintainability to 2 from my perspective. Yep, let's say I skipped the cost estimate because that's a very highly. I could be in the middle. It's just that it depends on the specific solution, I think. And yeah, well, we created 1 recommendation here with full assessments. If you feel you want to give a different view on these, please do so, or do any other recommendations, because now we're no longer doing workshops, but there is still, at least until to the weekend, the platform will remain open and all. If there are things happening on the site and people are going around every day, I think we will keep it open until there is like a slowdown of no engagement. But yeah, thanks for everybody joining, for earlier to sharing what you do in the Cardano, giving thought on what is important in the recommendations, and doing some assessments and providing opinion. Does anybody want to leave off our workshop with a closing comments from, I don't know, Govinda, William, and Pedro Lucas? You didn't share that much information.
Yeah. I think since I'm new in the ecosystem, I'm learning, and I'm ready to give my best for the ecosystem. Thank you so much.
Guys, I can't really add much about this specific theme, so I would just ask about MVG in general. If you said this is the final workshop, but I'm not sure if you want to still close up any topics on this specific matter.
Topics are closed. So yeah, sure. Ask anything regarding team, platform.
Right.
It's a good.
So I know you've maybe mentioned something, or maybe you were talking about hypothesis of putting things on chain or more governance requests for your initiative. Is there anything, or are you going to continue doing anything pro bono, or how has the team worked in closing? Like, since you're closing sort of your public side of your project, how do you see the future of this initiative?
Can I just like kick in? So, what is unfortunate, but I was hoping for, was actually that we will see some governance pressure withdrawals with the sole purpose of governance and measurement. Unfortunately, that haven't happened. The only thing is the IO research part. I know governance, it ain't sexy, it doesn't pump any bags, but it's actually very, very important. There is a few, and what is unfortunate is that there are no, let's say, actionable that produce a product. For Beyond Minimum Viables, so I'm all over the CIP editors meeting right now. We have currently, in regards to reduce the DRep concentration, like emergency fix, what you call that, not an emergency fix, but it is a CIP that default delegations. We will suggest to on the next hard fork. We will suggest it's for Jingsta to remove that it's mandatory to delegate a DRep to get staking rewards. That is like one tiny step out of many to reduce the pressure of DRep concentration. That's one thing, and that's already branched into master and on the, let's say, road for hard forking Q2, I think Jingsta is aiming for. We also have civics committee. I'm going to make sure the civic committee get informed about all our recommendations. And we also have a working group that look at, for example, the rep compensation or CC compensation. And yeah, so they're going to be out of this report. There are going to be actionable, that's something that you will, in foreseeable future, actually see that, oh, this is not just yapping and talk.
Yeah, from me,
Yeah.
I would say pretty cool like team and like a project experience. I did spend a lot of more time not just facilitating but building this app, as you can see, and I think that actually elevated me to be a slightly like a unique facilitator, in a sense that capturing data in different formats again, like from going from Google Docs to Miro and now Miro to websites. And in short term, what we can expect is like packaging more of that data into consolidated report and data structures. I think Ken is also working on a GitHub that has like all the stuff for the agents to feed into. And then like another short-term thing that many of the participants here got to write an intersect proposal for this process or this proposal process about governance coalition, governance prototypes, and RFP program, which is the goal is to create like grant funding cycles to deliver and implement any of these recommendations done in these workshops that was done in here, or just when coming up from, I don't know, other spaces, hey, we need this or that, like a technical solution or social solution, then we have like a quick way to run like a catalyst style stuff to implement these specific governance solutions. Yeah, and in the longer term, the proposal the Beyond MVG proposal was set up as like a one shot without continuous. So that is a bit of a downside, that we are not able to go into solutioning right away, and we have to again negotiate who is doing that and why they are doing and what exactly they're doing. Well, in a sense, it's still working. Like at least there is an opportunity, but now we have to need again community kind of gathering around these ideas and pushing proposals through, which is going to be a hard discussion, because I think around 100 million has to be not funded in order for this to get a chance.
Yeah, it's crazy how everyone's just getting funded for research and technology, and the governance system itself is, I would say, being sort of neglected. Like Keneric was saying, is there zero governance specific proposals, Keneric?
So at the moment, there are 0 proposals, as far as I'm aware of, that actually produce a product, something change.
Not even Gov tool builders.
Not even Gov tool builders. And they're not funded, by the way, so they're probably going to disappear in the foreseeable.
Oh yeah, I meant overall governance. So the Gov tool is going to probably disappear. That's what you're saying.
I don't see. So I don't know if you guys. There was an incident here. It took them like a freaking week to fix it because there's no devs on it. But when it comes to let's say what I'm most proud of the Beyond team is like, it was so hard to get funding for this. It was like, I don't know if you remember the budget round last year, but it was like governance was not sexy at all. And hopefully we are able with this project to prove everybody wrong, because I know we have 10. So since we have 10 actionable item where we actually, so we are not able to like, you have to do this, Lucas, you know, we are not, but we're gonna provide the CIP. Like, if you don't implement this shit in your wallet, you're gonna be an idiot. Husky holder. You understand?
That's the incentives or the motivation part. Yeah.
And because and this is what most people don't understand. Me and Max van Ressem, we spend we started in June last year, all the way to November, and unfortunately we lost Max on this road. But we were reading research paper per research paper per research paper. But it's like some of those are like in the 250, and it's like the capitals are like this big, you know. And we have rooted all our recommendations and our actionable recommendation in actual research. So like, why are we measuring? Why are we so much into DRep compensation? I know you guys like, oh yeah, you got to do some job, you know, but actually it's rooted in OSSE observer report, which is like a handbook for election observers, like when they look into governances around the world, how they are performing elections. If the organization is not funded, it's not fair, it's not equal to participants, and it doesn't represent the will of the people, or like, so that's how we have rooted like the silos in the report. So you can follow that from all beginning to the end.
You know, this kind of discussion that you're touching on now contrasts with some discussions that you've had here that are more technical and parameters and etc. And although you've put out a number, like when I asked you now, what's the follow-up of this, you've pointed at very concrete things. You know, we want to do this, we want to do that. But what I feel is appalling in the ecosystem is that we don't have governance tooling builders being funded, not even the official incumbents, let's say, which in my opinion never did that amazing job. They created the infrastructure, that is granted, but other gov tools, like when I wanted to register to vote, I went and used Tempo, you know, and I did it like that. So how much did Tempo get awarded? Like, we've now gotten to 2 years, 700 million ADA. How much did the Gov tool builders like Tempo get? You know, it's like, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. So that's one thing that I feel should be nurtured. And the other thing is what I'm doing with my initiative, like governance and funding calls in like, or facilitated by myself. You guys have been doing this. I would hope that you guys still do that, even aside from intersect working groups and committees. And I feel like because what you were touching on now, that's governance education. Like, we have Agora, we have all these like governance literacy, basic things. And we should have people in the ecosystem funded to nurture that and to continue making Cardano into a network state. Like I mentioned into you on your call like 3 days ago, people need to be motivated to participate because of they see this as a journey into creating Cardano as a network state type of thing. And they need to be civic in caring, not just delegating, but also keeping their DRep in check. You know, I could go on and on. But so I'm going to continue as much as I can to host these open govern and funding calls. It's very, very tricky because I was tweeting the other day, I'm delivering Catalyst proposals that are overdue and that were funded for ADA at 50 cents. So I'm having trouble even delivering those. So my time is very, very scarce. And like, I can drop it on the chat. I spent 20 minutes on Monday interviewing Sir Corin, who's doing a number of work for SPO incentives mainly. And what I feel like you mentioned like people just yapping on calls, and that's not offensive. I find it funny, but it's when you guys meet with Sir Corin, when Sir Corin meets with me, when we continue doing this work, that also, although it's just people networking, and in fact, for example, I'm not doing anything in concrete. I'm just reviewing Gov tools. He's doing all that work. You guys are doing all the work that you're doing. But us having spaces where we know about each other's work and help promote each other, which is what I'm doing for him now with tweets and all that, I think that should be funded somehow. And even drawing a parallel with what 45B is doing, it's also not fundable because 45B is onboarding people to Web3 spaces and workshops, and that's not a product. So I can't really put in a proposal and ask for $1 million to spin up this intersect alternative or CF alternative that's not going to onboard NASA, but it's going to onboard small and medium businesses. It's tricky, and sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but I feel like we should find ways, although it's not direct funding proposals, that someone else that already got these 700 million ADA can subsidize and donate to this cause, let's say, somehow. So yeah, that's another thing that I've been exploring, ideating around a lot. Why should we all need to go to the treasury and get millions? Why, if this is something that's as transversal to the ecosystem, why shouldn't the founding entities and everyone else just donate 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 ADA to someone running this instead of having to go to the treasury? So I don't know. Thanks for listening, and I hope that helps you, motivates you guys to also continue networking and finding ways to work on this, because otherwise I feel like we continue to have a fair amount, like provable amount of grifters out there getting literally millions. And yeah, we need to find ways that doesn't make us become the next Polkadot or whatever. Cheers, guys.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much, Simon, Lucas, Rinda, and Hicks, and all the other guys who have participated in this workshop session. It's good to see that we actually align very much on where we want to go. That is actually very, very impressive, to be honest. Everybody wants to go in that direction, so you might not have the exact path, but contributing in workshops like this, you certainly are doing an impact. And as I said, for beyond minimum governance and state of report, there will be actionable items that you will feel and see on chain, on Ledger, and we have some really solid arguments on how to, for example, I know Simon is working on compensation schemes in the ecosystem for DReps and CC members. We have some tweaks that needs to be done to the ledger to prevent DRep compensation. X here, like also aligns a lot with what we have. Like if you have like a K parameter or like a cap for that's also very much within that makes governance on Cardano representative and actually represents the ADA owners on what they want. So we just need to remove frictions block by block. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ready? Bye.